The San Francisco 49ers are finally paying their star playmaker who's been waiting to get it's Christian McCaffrey, not Brandon Ayuk, is the one getting the extension. He resets the running back market. And let's be honest, he's the best running back in the league. He deserves to be the guy. And frankly, if you listen to our pal Brian Peacock over at Locked On 49ers, who joins me now, he has been telling us since Christian McCaffrey got there, he is the engine of this 49ers offense. But Brian, there are some other players in the Bay Area who would like to get paid. What do you make of this happening now?
Well, first of all, I would like to recognize that I wasn't the biggest fan of the Christian McCaffrey trade right away as the West Coast chairman of the Running Backs Don't Matter chapter. But he's a different cat. I think John Lynch put it best today when he spoke about the professionalism, the way he plays the game. Every inch matters, every cut. Christian McCaffrey puts every effort into everything he does on the field, and it's really been phenomenal to watch, week in and week out, to watch him play. And he truly is a lot more than just a running back, which is why he's so valuable to the 49ers. And he's such a perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense and the positionless brand of football that Kyle Shanahan likes to use and operate in and put defenses in stress. But to be honest with you, this is one of the most win-win contracts I've seen in a while, because Christian McCaffrey does deserve a bump. He deserves a little bit more guaranteed money, which he had none of left on the last 2 years of his contract. And really the $24 million he had left on the last couple of years, that just has turned into guaranteed money now. And they added 2 new years, which become team option years for the 49ers, essentially. So the 49ers don't really have to stick their neck out here and go really big money and go 4 years down the line to a 31-year-old running back, which is insane to do this era in the NFL. And while the agent puts the numbers out there, 2 years, $19 million per extension, that's not really the reality of what this deal is. Essentially, the last 2 years of his old deal became guaranteed now, and a 4-year average of about $15.5 million is what we're talking about with this new contract for Christian McCaffrey that goes through 2027, very likely to get through 2025 and 2026. We'll see if he actually sees that 2027 money. Phenomenal player, deserves the parade, deserves all the accolades, deserves that signing bonus he's going to get because he's got a marriage coming up and a wedding that's probably going to be pretty expensive with his wife, Olivia Culpo. So that's maybe another reason why he wanted to get a little bit more scratch immediately versus waiting down the road to see if he was going to get another contract eventually with the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey turns 28 on Friday. Could have used this money before the Super Bowl when apparently the families of Olivia Culpo, they couldn't afford to get a box for the Super Bowl. It was too expensive. Maybe now if they go again next year, they can afford it over in New Orleans.
Oh man, I wish I'd have known. I had 2 boxes. I would have let them use one of them. Those were cheap, man.
You dropped the ball, Brian. You dropped the ball. Speaking of dropping the ball, Brandon Ayuk does not drop the ball very often, and he would like a new contract. He is now the second receiver in just a few seasons to agitate for a new deal in San Francisco, and for the 49ers to play a little bit of hardball here. Where do we stand with Brandon Ayuk?
I don't know what the numbers that are being exchanged are, but apparently they are still exchanging numbers. This hasn't gone radio silent with negotiations or anything like that. Everything we've seen this offseason has only helped whatever numbers Brandon Ayuk and his agent had slid across the table to John Lynch and the San Francisco 49ers. They're definitely not needing to come down after seeing Justin Jefferson get $35 million a year. Right. And the 49ers, and look, this isn't like a hindsight thing. We've been talking about it on Locked On 49ers. Probably want to get in front of this wave of new contracts for wide receivers. The 49ers, though, are playing hardball. And look, Brandon Ayuk's under contract, 5th-year option this year. They've got a franchise tag if they want to go that route. So there is leverage for the team here, but we just don't see teams flex that leverage anymore. And so we'll see if the 49ers become one of those few teams. And they do have some serious salary cap implications and some considerations to make with so many stars. And then a quarterback, Brock Purdy, presumably up next offseason for what's going to be a $50 million per year contract.
I wanted to ask you about that quickly before we finish, Brian. They cannot negotiate a new deal for Brock Purdy yet. If they could, what do you think that contract would look like?
I think it would be probably high 40s, something like that. I think for the 49ers, they might it's going to be it would be so much money anyway. I think they would prefer waiting a year just to make sure, just one more run. Let's get another look at him, do it again. I fully expect him to do it again. I think it's going to be a phenomenal offense. I think they're going to have Brandon Ayuk and they're going to have Debo. They're not trading those guys. They're going to be developing their first rounder to step into probably Debo's role next year, unless this thing really goes south with Brandon Ayuk. But they're in that Super Bowl window right now. And if they win it, and Brock Purdy plays like he did last year when he was an MVP candidate, he's going to get a whole lot of money. And even if it's a little more than he would have already gotten, I think it's worth it to wait and see that happen. And a lot of guys deserving of a lot of cash in San Francisco. They're going to have to start figuring some things out with who they're not going to pay at some point, because they've still paid everybody.
Stay up to date on the San Francisco 49ers all year by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On 49ers on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube.